You read the title, you know what's up. We're ranking all the weapons and equipment in the original F.E.A.R, including the expansions Extraction Point and Perseus Mandate, but not including console and multiplayer only exclusive weapons. I won't be including the unarmed attacks either, but you should know that the slide kick and the bicycle kick are hilariously powerful, and I love using them to smash bodies into walls. Without further ado, let's get right into this. The 10mm HV Penetrator is an iconic weapon, everyone remembers it. It's pretty powerful, very accurate, and can pin enemies to the freaking walls. Anyone else accidentally get scared by a body pin to the wall? Anyway, this weapon is very versatile and fun to use. It belongs in A tier. The ASP rifle is pretty good, but you don't see it too often, so ammo can be pretty limited. It's very powerful against standard troops if you can get the direct headshot, but it slows you down while equipped and it's not very effective in close quarters. I usually pick it up whenever I see it, use it up, and then replace it with something else. B tier. The AT-14 pistol is so fun to use, especially when dual wielding. They're great in the early game. I love running into a room blasting guys in slow motion with two pistols like a badass. Unfortunately, they're not very effective against heavily armored enemies, but if you're just dealing with normal guys, it's pretty good. B tier. The G2A2 assault rifle is alright. It's decent against normal enemies, but armored targets will just eat these rounds. It's a decent mid-range weapon, but not great in other scenarios. Ammo is plentiful because most standard enemies carry it, but I don't usually keep this weapon for very long. C tier. The Mod 3 multi-rocket launcher is a pretty rare power weapon that usually signals the approach of a powerful armored enemy. It's always a good idea to pick up this weapon when you see it because of its raw power, but you'll likely pick it up, use it, and then drop it for something else. B tier. The MP50 repeating cannon is such a beast, one of my favorite weapons. Just point and click and watch your enemies explode. It's a shame that this weapon appears so late in the base game because it's so satisfying to use. It's effective against all enemy types, and the explosions can destroy enemy grenades and rocket fire in midair. This bad boy belongs in S tier. The RPL submachine gun is not great. It has a fast fire rate, but low accuracy and low damage. Ammo is plentiful, but I usually drop this weapon as soon as I find something better, which doesn't take very long. F tier. The Type 7 particle weapon is another absolute beast of a weapon that I love to pick up whenever possible. It doesn't appear until later in the campaign, and ammo for it is pretty rare, but it's just so powerful. I mean, you can turn enemies into burnt skeletons with just a click. The zoom makes it effective at all ranges, and I always find a spot for it in my inventory. A tier. The VK-12 combat shotgun. Easily one of the best shotguns in any first-person shooter game. An absolute monster that literally tears your enemies apart, or turns them into a bloody mist. It's not as effective at medium or long ranges, but that doesn't matter. Ammo is always available, and since most of the game takes place in indoor environments, it's almost always a good option for any encounter. After I pick it up for the first time in Interval 3, it doesn't leave my inventory until the end of the game. If you've played this game, you already know it belongs in S tier. The ATS proximity mine is powerful, but limited in its use. It's great for laying traps, but when I play F.E.A.R, I'm usually running into enemy squads, gunning them down in slow motion, so I don't use the proximity mines too often. That being said, it's awesome to see or hear enemies run into an untimely demise. C tier. The M77 remote bomb is another trap weapon, but it's much easier to use this weapon offensively. It can stick to enemies and surfaces, and you choose when to detonate it. While pulling out the detonator can be a little clunky in the midst of combat, I like this weapon more than the proximity mine. B tier. The N6A3 frag grenade is so fun to use. They detonate on contact with enemies and can be bounced off of walls to hit targets hiding around corners. They're plentiful, powerful, and useful especially against groups of enemies. A tier. Now for the weapons introduced in F.E.A.R's first expansion pack, Extraction Point. The TG2A minigun is awesome. You pick it up from these heavy riot soldiers and it's so fun to use. Just listen to that sound. Using this weapon gives me the feeling of glee, ripping through hordes of enemies. S tier. The Type 12 laser carbine was such a cool weapon that they brought it back in F.E.A.R 2. It's unique with this red beam of death that can cut enemies clean in half. I love how it leaves laser cuts in the walls too. Ammo is pretty rare for it, but it's extremely accurate. I always pick it up when the opportunity arises. A tier. The AP5 deployable turret is Expansion Point's new equipment, and to be honest I don't really like it. It's pretty weak and barely does any damage to enemies, comparable to the RPL submachine gun. It's useful for distracting stronger enemies or defending against groups, but it's a rare moment when it actually kills an enemy. F tier. Now we'll cover the weapons introduced in the second expansion pack, Perseus Mandate. The K3BT grenade launcher is alright, but a bit clunky to use. While its explosions are big, deadly, and detonate on impact, the grenades are fired at a weird arc that makes it hard to hit your target. If an enemy has it, you should immediately prioritize taking them out, but you might have a hard time using it yourself. C tier. The LP.4 Lightning Arc weapon, on the other hand, is an awesome addition to the weapon roster. It has this cool, glowing aesthetic, and shoots bolts of lightning that can chain to multiple targets. If you get hit by it, it briefly disorients your vision. It's very powerful and one of my favorites, but ammo is very rare, so I'll put it in A tier. The VES Advanced Rifle is a travesty. It's a more powerful version of the G2A2 Assault Rifle, which you think would make it higher on the list, but for some awful reason the devs decided to include this terrible scope that at best tints your screen red and black like you're playing on a Virtual Boy, and at worst completely blinds you. F tier. Here are my final rankings for all the weapons in the original F.E.A.R and its expansions. Number 18 is the VES Advanced Rifle. Number 17 is the Deployable Turret. Number 16 is the RPL Submachine Gun. Number 15 is the K3BT Grenade Launcher. Number 14 is the G2A2 Assault Rifle. Number 13 is the Proximity Mine. Number 12 is the Remote Bomb. Number 11 is the Mod 3 Multi-Rocket Launcher. Number 10 is the ASP Rifle. Number 9 is the AT-14 Pistol. Number 8 is the N6A3 Frag Grenade. Number 7 is the Type 12 Laser Carbine. Number 6 is the LP.4 Lightning Arc Weapon. Number 5 is the 10mm HV Penetrator. Number 4 is the Type 7 Particle Weapon. Number 3 is the MP50 Repeating Cannon. Number 2 is the TG2A Minigun. And number 1 is the VK12 Combat Shotgun. Do you agree or disagree with my rankings? Where would you put the console exclusives like the SM15 submachine pistols and the Watson automatic shotgun? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video and stay tuned for more fun gaming content. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out for now.